Hello everyone. So to continue with our next topic, that's variables. We are already done with the basic UI functions, and we have already done few practicals related to it. We have done the DDLs and the practicals related to it. Let's jump on to variables. So we'll go through the variables today and possibly either do the practicals with this session or the next video. Coming to variables, we will discuss the types of variables. What are the types of variables that Matillion supports? So there's environment variable, automatic variable, job variable, and grid variable. There are four kinds, but actually automatic variables is a kind of environment variable and grid variable is a kind of job variable, just that they have some minor difference. Otherwise the general behavior is the same. Now to give you an idea, if you are already someone who is already into programming, there's something called global variables and local variables, right? Here the environment variable behaves like the global variable and the job variable is like the local variables. For the rest, I would give an analogy of a school wherein when the school principal is the environment variable and your class teacher is your job variable, wherein your class is your job. Okay, so every class, when you ask them who is your principal, it would be the same person, right? But you ask each class who is your class teacher, they would have their respective class teacher, right? So that's how it works. Now, how do you call it? You call it in this format with the dollar sign, a flowery bracket, and the name. Okay, this is how you refer to a variable. Next, what is the order of precedence? So, in case you have already have these variables and you've given them same names, and when you're calling, which does it point to? The job variables get the highest priority, and then the environment variable, and then the automatic variables. Let's get into the details of the four types of variables. The first one is the job variable. We know what is a job, right? We have already done this part. Job is nothing but a sequence of components that we match together to perform certain task. Now if you are using a variable just for that respective job, then you call then you will need a job variable. Okay, it will override the environment variable of same name, which we have already discussed. So we can import and export jobs. Okay, I'll be taking this session in future, so entire jobs can be imported and exported. In this case, always the job variables will be exported, unlike the environment variables. Once you create a variable, how can you set it, or how can you probably edit it? So there are multiple ways. One is using iterator components and the Python script components. Iterator components will be done maybe 2 sessions from now. Yes, and we will also do Python components, but keep it in mind that these are the two components that can update the variable, the job variable, the value of the job variable. And while doing the Python component, we will actually do a practical with that. Now where do you find the job variable? So what I can do is I have put the screenshot for your convenience when you all have this notes, but let me quickly show you the UI itself. So where can you see job variable? So this was our project. So if I just load this up, if you see, when you right click here, you will get manage job variables. You can also notice that manage grid variables is also here. And another place where you could see is go to your project. Since you know job variables are related to your project, just right click your project, save variables, and again you have manage job variables and grid variables. From this, I think you would understand job variables and grid variables are pretty much close to each other, just that job variable carries a single value, whereas the grid variable, it's like you're carrying a table. Okay, it is multiple values that it is carrying. Okay, that's about job variables. The next would be environment variable. So where do we find that? Click on project, you have manage environment variables here. Okay, So getting back to our notes, I have provided the link to official documentation as well. So environment variables can be used across Matillion ETLs. Okay. So let me show you where is environment variable as well. So it's over here, manage variable. So let me click that up. So if you see, we have two environments here. These are the two environments that I have created. So how does this work? Say I'll give a name, env, this name. I'm not going to crack my head to give a name now. We'll speak about text and behavior later. And for this respective environment, I can give defaults. Okay. So I can say for AWS CRED environment, it was the environment name is ABC, or this could be DB name as well. And for testing, use dbghj, right? And you can give a description. Okay, as simple as that. That's how environment variables work. And job variables also have a uh, similar sections. You give a name, type and behavior, which we discuss, and then you have visibility and what would be the default value with description. Okay. Now we have covered job variable, we have covered environment variable. Okay. In environment variable, like we saw in job variables how we could set a variable, similarly in for environment variables you can set it to iterative components, Python scripts, as well as SQS runs. You can do that. And following this, we have something called automatic variables, which you are not creating. These are automatically created by the environment, just like job ID, your history ID, your job name, the error created. So when you want to use these, right, this is when you use the automatic variables. Okay. So I have given a list of variables here that are currently there, and this is the official link to that. We will be also having practicals regarding this automatic variables, and we'll also get into details of it in future. Last would be grid variables, nothing but 2D array. I would postpone covering this as of now. Sync in the job variables and environment variable go, and then you could understand grid variables easily. Next is settings. Like I already told, when you are setting the name, this would be the name, the type. So now what kind of data types it accepts? It could be a text, it could be a numeric, it could be a datetime, it could be the data structure. Sometimes you would like to save the JSON files or some structured object. This is when you use it. Okay, again, it's not a very common case. So that's the data type. So there are two kinds of variable behavior. One is copied and shared. In copied, what would happen is if you have updated the variable in one branch, it's not going to update in the other branch as well. Okay, it's only concerning to that branch. You can remember it as it is copied into that branch. Okay, it's not sharing it with others. Shared variable, what happens is you can remember it as sharing as caring. So if it is updated in one job, it does get affected in other jobs. So the other job is going to accept this new value. Okay. The shared variables are updated in a job wide fashion. As such, regardless of the branch, if the shared variable is updated in one branch, then all other branches will use the updated value. That's about the behavior. So we are done with behavior. Next is test mode. Test mode is nothing but when you click on this, let me show you. We have created a environment. Let me create one more, env2. Okay. So when I click on text mode, notice it will be available in this format, right? Okay. And when you want it in this format, you can do it like this. Okay. That is one of the feature that is available in job variable as well as an environment variable. You might be wondering why this feature at all. So there are some reasons why. Copy and paste text, offering a fast way to move large numbers of variables. I find this is the reason when you work on big projects and you have lot of variables, this helps. Like this helped me a lot. So that's about the text mode. Now that you know all what all kinds of variable. Now when do you use them? So environment variable, when you want to use a variable for multiple jobs like the database name or the S3 bucket, that is when you use the environment variable. Then when to use automatic variables, when you want in the messaging components, when you want to send a message that the job is successful, not successful, what is the error, which was the task that didn't run. So when you want to send such details, you will obviously need automatic variables. Next is the grid variables, and when the you're changing or iterating dynamically, right, and you need to you are and you are working with multiple values, that is when you use the grid. You will get to know, get the right idea when we do practicals on grid variables and some components that are specifically for grid. And rest, all of the rest cases, it's generally the job variable that you use. I think that's all for this session. In the next session, I will create one small project or some one small practical where we will work with the environment variables and show you how it works. And next we'll do an experiment or kind of practical about how the copied and the shade variables would work. This is something you would not find easily on the internet or even on the Matillion website. So stay tuned.